Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, listeners, learners, the most honorable President Mr. Modi ji, respected ministerial managers, honorable doctors and directors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily cordially welcome. It's really nice time, nice place, nice action today that we are appreciating our holy Indian culture in the form of unity and diversity. It is a great message from the different fields of our Indian society and nation. How our India is growing in the different fields, let us see, let us observe. Honors found in Bihar rolls, says EC India questions data. Paul body says large number of people from Nepal, Bangladesh and Myanmar found during house-to-house verification by BLOs. Names of such people will not be included in the final list. It says India leaders reject claim slum revision process. From New Delhi, the Election Commission on Sunday said that a large number of people from Nepal, Bangladesh and Myanmar were found during house-to-house verification of electoral rolls as part of the special intensive revision process in Bihar. The names of such people will not be included in the final voter list to be published on September 30, it added. The SIR began on June 25 and the last date for submitting enumeration forms given by booth level officials to voters is July 25, following which a direct list will be brought out on August 1st. The EC said a proper inquiry will be conducted after the draft list is released. The poll body's move is significant view of the assembly polls scheduled next year in West Bengal, Assam, Kerala, Puducherry and Tamil Nadu, and comes as various states are cracking down on illegal immigrants from countries including Bangladesh and Myanmar. Earlier, leaders of the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance India had jointly attacked the EC, alleging contradictions and democratic concerns in the data presented by the poll body on Saturday related to the SIR process. The leaders, including Tejasvi Yadav of the Rashtriya Janata Dal, said that such shortcomings call into question public trust in the process. He alleged that fake data were being uploaded on the Shirsha. Listing out the alleged shortcomings, Mr. Yadav said the EC had claimed that 80.11% of voters had submitted the enumeration forms, but it had not announced how many of these forms were filled in a verified, voluntary, and valid manner. Mr. Yadav also rejected the EC's claim that a large number of people from Nepal, Bangladesh, and Myanmar were found during SIR process. Nipah death leads to preventive action in two Kerala districts. From Palkhad, a fresh Nipah case in Palkhad district has sparked fears that the deadly virus is still lurking despite efforts by the health authorities to contain its spread. Palakkad reported a second Nipah case on Saturday night as a 58-year-old man from Kumaram, Puthur, Kumaram Puthur near Manarkar tested positive for the virus after his death in a private hospital at Valinthal. He had been under treatment at the Valinthal hospital with fear. Even before the official confirmation from the National Institute of Virology, Pune came, health authorities in Palkhad and Malappuram districts swiftly initiated contact tracing for individuals who interacted with him over the past 3 weeks. As many as 46 people who were in contact with the infected person have been traced. Shringla, 3 others nominated to Rajya Sabha. New Delhi, President Draupadi Murmu has nominated former Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla and 3 others to the Rajya Sabha. No urgent safety concern in AI crash report. England women clinch last ball thriller 2 and series on a high. England women clinched the final T20 T21 of the series by 5 wickets in nail-biting finish at Birmingham, chasing down India's 168-run target of the very last ball of the match to finish on a high. Opener Dani Whitehorse led the charge on Saturday with a composed 56 of 37 deliveries, laced with 9 boundaries. She was well supported by her opening partner Sophia Dunkley, who smashed 46 of 30 balls, including 3 fourth and a 6. Flying start, the duo gave England a flying start, taking it to 50 inside the first 6 overs and 95 on no loss at the halfway mark. Dunkley was the first to depart, bowled by Radha Yadav, bowled 46 with England at 101 in the 11th over. Whitehorse followed in the very next over, falling to Deepthi Sharma, who then struck again to remove Maya Boshier for 16. Despite the rebel, England kept its tail on track and reached 150 in 17.2 hours. The final over brought some drama as Tammy Bowman 30 and Amy Jones 10 were both dismissed by Anildati Reddy, but England held its nerve to seal a win as India won the series 3-2. Earlier, England won the toss and opted to bowl. India found itself in early trouble at 19 for 2 in 2.3 overs. After Smriti Manthan 8 and Jamia Rodriguez were dismissed cheaply, Indian skipper Harmanpreet Kaur and opener Shefali Verma stitched together a stand of 66 runs before Charlie Dean broke the partnership. Harleen Deol was step in front of the wicket for 4 by Sophie Eccleston. Shefali was in top form, hammering 75 off just 41 balls, including 13 fours and a 6. India lost momentum after Shefali's departure. Deepti 7 was dismissed by Dean, leaving India at 126 for 6 in the 16th over. Wicketkeeper Richa Ghosh chipped in with a quick fire 24 of 16. Dean steered, Dean steered with the ball for England, finishing with 3 for 23. WPL has been an integral part of the progress of the players. Mojumdar says from Birmingham. WPL has been an integral part of the progress of the players Mujumdar from Birmingham, India coach Amal Mujumdar credited the landmark achievement of clinching the first ever women's T201 series T21 series win against England to the Women's Premier League WPL, saying it had played an integral part in the progress of the players. He also credited the competitive domestic season for the success. India lost the fifth and final match on Saturday, but sealed the series 3-2. WPL has been an integral part of the progress of the players. There is no doubt about it, but there are other tournaments as well in India which we really have a good look at it. There are so many domestic players playing. WPL is just a part of the initiative of the BCCI, so I think it's been a happy hunting ground for us, the WPL. But at the same time, there are other tournaments which also take the importance, said Majumdar during the post-match press conference after India lost the fifth T21 by 5 wickets of the last ball. Dependent India left-arm spinner Shri Chavni played a crucial role in the series victory, bagging 10 wickets, and Majumdar said she had been the find of the WPL. She, Journey 20 was the player of the series, I guess. You know, from WPL, we identified her, and then I think her progress has been fantastic. She has been phenomenal in this year. We had a good look at her in the first in the Sri Lanka series where we played a try series against South Africa and Sri Lanka. So I think she has been the fine Mujumdar said. Mujumdar said that the key takeaway from the series was India's bowling and fielding, which completed the already strong batting. This time around, we had a game plan before we set off from the Indian shores. We had a good camp and we focused quite a bit on our bowling and fielding. We shot in this series, I think the biggest takeaways, without a doubt, have been our bowling and our fielding. Having said that, the batting has been our strength for a long time, a year and a half that I have been in charge. I think we have played some fearless cricket as batting is concerned. The two departments which we wanted to take care of was bowling and fielding, he said, and I think this series has shown the results. Radha Yadav's bowling and fielding also caught the attention during the series, and Majumdar said the improvement was because of the effort the left arm spinner had put in at the domestic level. She has been phenomenal. Puts in a lot. She puts in a lot of hard work. Not many people know it, but behind the scenes there is a lot of hard work that she puts in as far as fielding is concerned. Radha is somebody we actually have to stop her sometimes. With the T20 World Cup scheduled in England in 11 months' time, Majumdar said the tool had been his side. good preparation for the global event. Interim committee form on holding BFI elections by August 31 from Kolkata. 2 days after Indian Olympic Association, President P.T. Usha formed a fact-finding committee to ascertain the reason behind the delay in the Boxing Federation of India elections. The interim committee IC running the federation expressed its commitment to hold the polls by the August 31 deadline set by World Boxing, following a communication from the Union Sports Ministry on July 5 regarding the issues. The IOA constituted a panel comprising its Treasurer Sachdev Yadav, Executive Committee member B.S. Bajwa, and Advocate Payal Kakra, and asked it to submit its findings and recommendations within 7 days. Referring to the extension of its tenure by the world body, IC Executive Director Colonel Arun Malik said WB has clearly mandated that the BFI election be held before the 31, and we are fully committed to delivering free and fair polls within that timeline. The BFI elections were due on February 2 last. Underlining the BFI's autonomy, the IC said the process underway had been transparent and the ministry and the IOA had been kept in the loop. It added that discussion on the roadmap for conducting the election had been held with WB. The only challenges to a smooth transition stem from ongoing legal proceedings, said the IC. Malaysia national junior team as a CBDT, HUTN, SAI, NCOE playout draw. From Chennai, the 96th MCC Murugappa Gold Cup Invitation Hockey Tournament served up a wonderful treat to a modest gathering of spectators at the SDAT Mayor Radhakrishnan Stadium here on Sunday. Vantika crushes Lagno Divya Downs in Jack. Prathna makes doubles final of WTA event. Niru and Lakshya miss medal round by 3 points. Malaysia national junior team manages CBDT HUTN SAI NCOA playout draw. From Chennai, the 96th MCC Murugappa Gold Cup Invitation Hockey Tournament showed up a wonderful treat to a modest gathering of spectators at the SDAT Mayor Radha Radhakrishan Stadium here on Sunday. Three matches produced a total of 21 goals with each match outgoing the other in terms of quality and suspense. In the first match of the day, hockey unit of Tamil Nadu and SAINCOE Bhopal were involved in an 8-goal thriller, with both teams sharing the honors in a Pool A tie. Later in the two Pool B matches, India Navy produced a robust performance to outfit Karnataka 4-2, while the Malaysia national junior team delivered a standout performance under pressure to edge out Central Board of Direct Taxes 4-3. After the shocking win over Indian Army the other day, much was expected from PHUTN and the host did impress in the first quarter, attacking and defending with aplomb, leading 2-0. However, Sai and Koi fought back, admirably scoring tries in the second quarter, exposing SUTN defense. The host, however, pulled up its socks in the third quarter by plugging the gaps and improving in the final third. HUTN captain VP Somana was the star as he marshaled the team admirably. His second goal of a penalty stroke enabled it to equalize 3-3, and Balachandar scored off a rebound in a matter of minutes. However, TN Joy was short-lived as Amit Yadav converted. The Malaysian junior team delivered a sparkling performance, especially through the flanks to beat CBT, which put immense pressure on the young side in all the quarters. Malaysia came up trumps with a last gasp goal through Shakir Azimuddin, who scored a scorching grounder off a penalty corner. Vantika crushes Lagno Divya down in jack. Batuni, Indian Grandmaster Vantika Agarwal and Divya Deshmukh stacked their claims for the pre-quarterfinals after winning the first game of the third round against Katerina Lagno of Russia and Teodora Injak of Serbia, respectively, in the FIDE World Women's Chess Cup here on Saturday. Prasna mixed doubles final of the WTA event. Swiatek chuffed with unexpected breakthrough at Wimbledon. From London, Iga Swiatek's 125 combined weeks as world number one is the seventh best in the history of the women's game. No player above her in the list is still playing, and the next best active star below the pole is Victoria Azarenka at 51, followed by Aliana Sablenka at 46. Yet for a good part of the last year, she looked far from the player who was once on the path towards dominance. She had no trophy to show since winning the 2024 French Open, and since then until Wimbledon 2025, she had a 9-8 record against fellow top 10 players. A middling metric, but her victory on Saturday at the All England Club, which came with a chastening 6-0, 6-0 defeat of Amanda Anisimova, has brought her firmly back into the conversation. Fall on the rise, it's just surreal, Swiatek said after the triumph, which will help her return to the WTA top 3 on Monday. I feel like tennis keeps surprising me and I keep surprising myself. It means a lot, especially after a season with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of expectations from the outside. Asked to compare her last breakthrough with her other slam successes, the four-time Roland Garros winner chose not to rank it, but said it was special and unexpected. Roland Garros, I know I can play well and show it every year. Here at SW19, I wasn't sure of that. I also needed to prove that to myself. So this one and the US Open for sure feel like just better because no one expected. Serving it up, Swiatek was the eighth seed at Wimbledon, but the 24-year-old shared that it was neither an advantage nor a disadvantage. It didn't really matter because I focused so much on just developing as a player on grass. For sure, I was surprised with the consistency. I don't think I have ever served so well. I know in my mind that I can be fast and not waste points. My level of tennis helped me keep that at a constant level. Willie Washington turns the tide in India's favor. The off-spinner scalps for while Bumrah and Siraj claim to appease to help the tourist ball England out for 192. The home side loses its last five wickets for just 28 runs. So from London, there was heated arguments, animated conversation, and some banters. But a disciplined Indian bowling unit managed to cut out the noise and put the brakes on baseball at Lord's. As Cloud played hide and seek in the first half of Sunday, the Indian bowlers made the most of the conditions to trigger a top order collapse before Ben Stokes and Joy Root ground out a 67-run stand for the fifth wicket as England set India a target of 193. With a five-match series level at 1-1, the Indian bowlers arrived at the famous venue on the fourth day with a dream of putting their team in front. Mohammad Siraj started off by conceding four byes, but as the day progressed, he and Jasprit Bumrah breathed fire. India lost a review as Siraj convinced captain Shubman Gill to take the referral for a leg before appeal against Crowley, only to discover that it was sliding down the leg. The England openers lived dangerously before Ben Duckett mistimed a pull to mid-on shortly and Siraj celebrated in his face. Successful review while the England batters clearly looked uncomfortable playing Bumrah, who was bowling from the nursery end. Shiraz trapped all alive pop in front of India successfully reviewed. Nitish Kumar Reddy was brought in to give Bumrah a break, and despite being hit for a boundary in his opening over, the young Wester bounced back as the dismissed Frawley, who ended up hitting one to Yashvi Jaiswal at Gully. Leading at 50 for 3, England needed a steady partnership. Root and Harry Brook tried to take things in their stride. Brook counter-attacked with a couple of scoops and sent Akash deep for a six down the ground. He also hammered Nitish for a boundary before being cleaned up by Akash. The pacer received some treatment for his back problem, but as the resumed bowling, there was no visible discomfort. However, with Root and Stokes hanging in there, England avoided further dents before lunch, but in the second session, things spiced up a tad bit as Bumrah and Siraj created several chances. The England batters were clearly under pressure. They got lucky a few times, but Root could not capitalize on the reprieves and eventually fell to the trap led by Washington Sundar for 22. Sensing that spinners were finding some great Gill persisted with Washington, and that proved to be the turning point as he removed both Root and Benny Smith to pack England back. Coming on from the nursery and Washington ensured that England law order did not prosper while Ravinder Jadeja tightened the noose from the other end. Root was cleaned up while trying to sweep Washington, and the off-spinner breached the defense of Smith with a quicker delivery. Hobbs bellied. There was enough support from the home crowd, but England lost its last 5 wickets for just 28 runs on a pitch playing up and down. Washington turned the game India's way either side of the tea break. Match point. A father allegedly shot his daughter dead in their home in Gurugram, Haryana, as the speculation swirl about the region's family and friends say Deepak Yadav had always supported Radhika's tennis career, while some say he was controlling and conservative. Shivkumar reports on the family, who was from Wazirabad, evidence within Gurgaon city, a place where global city lifestyles sometimes clash with rural mindsets. Our median tilak covers a large part of Pyaralal's forehead. A long grey beard cascades down his chest like a river of wisdom, and his grey hair is tied in a knot on top of his head like a mystic. It is an unusual appearance for a soft-spoken caretaker of an under-construction building in Gurugram's upscale Sector 57. In his late 50s, Lal says it had been more than 24 hours since he last had 2 days prior to the miss, 2 days prior to the murder. The situation had turned worse. The father was very angry, threatening to either end his own life or take his daughter's life. Moscow, Russia and China discuss Ukraine war and ties with the United States. The foreign minister of Russia and China discussed their relations with the US and the prospectus for ending the war in Ukraine. Russia's foreign ministry said Russia's Sergei Lavrov met China's Wang Yi Beijing on Sunday. Mr. Lavrov is due to attend a meeting of the SCO's foreign ministers in China. From Lahore, Imran Khan's party launches a drive seeking his release from jail. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has informally kick-started the Free Imran Khan movement from Lahore, demanding the release of the jailed former Prime Minister with the police making several arrests. The party said on Sunday the informal launch comes less than a month ahead of the PTI party's earlier declared date of August 5. From Camarillo, farm worker dies after raid by U.S. immigration agents in California. The farm worker died after being injured in a raid by U.S. immigration agents on a legal cannabis farm in California. Red zone agricultural sites on Thursday led to the arrest of 200 undocumented migrants as part of the U.S. president's anti-immigration crackdown and clashes between law enforcement officials and protesters. Damascus wildfires in Syria's western province contained after 10 days. Syria's civil defense agency on Sunday said wildfires in Latakia in the country's west, which have burned vast tracts of forest and farmland and forced evacuation, had been brought under control after 10 days. The UN humanitarian agency OCHA said the fires had destroyed about 100 square kilometers of forest and farmland. Israeli strikes killed at least 30 in Gaza, including 6 children at water point. Death toll in the besieged strip crosses 58,000 following 21 months of war. Israel and Hamas appear no closer to making a breakthrough in indirect ceasefire talks. Funerals held in occupied West Bank for 2 Palestinians killed by Israeli settlers. Israeli strikes in the Gaza Strip killed at least 30 people on Sunday, including 6 children at a water collection point, while the Palestinian death toll passed 58,000 after 21 months of war. Local health officials said Israel and Hamas appeared no closer to a breakthrough in direct talks meant to pause the war and free some Israeli hostages after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Washington visit last week. A new sticking point has emerged over Israeli troops deployment during a ceasefire. Israel says it will end the war only once Hamas surrenders, disarms, and goes into exile, something it refuses to do. Hamas said it is willing to free all the remaining 50 hostages, about 20 shared, to be alive in exchange for an end to the war and the full withdrawal of Israeli forces. Throughout the war in Gaza, violence had surged in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Funerals were held there on Sunday for 2 Palestinians, including Palestinian American Safullah Musalat, killed by Israeli settlers in central Gaza. Officials at Al Awda Hospital said it received 10 bodies after an Israeli strike on water Collection point in nearby Nusirat. Among the dead were 6 children. A witness who lives in the area said that around 20 children and 14 adults had been lined up to get water at the location of the strike. Technical error, the Israeli military said it was targeting a militant, but a technical error made its munitions for dozens of meters from the target. Separately, health officials said an Israeli strike hit a group of citizens walking in the street on Sunday afternoon in central Gaza City, killing 11 persons and injuring around 30 others. In the central town of Zaveda, an Israeli strike on a home killed 9, including 2 women and 3 children. EU puts off retaliatory tariffs against US in hope of a deal. 7 arrested so far in Bangladesh. Scrap traders lynching case. From Dhaka, at least 7 persons have been arrested so far, and a nationwide combing operation was launched in Bangladesh on Sunday in connection with the killing of a scrap trader in Dhaka. Home Affairs Advisor Lieutenant General Jahangir Alam Chaudhry said. Mr. Chaudhry said the operation was launched to maintain law and order and ensure pre-election stability following the gruesome murder of Lalchand alias Sohag near Mitford Hospital on July 9. Pratham ANO reported a video of the incident that went viral on Thursday showed the scrap vendor being laced with chunks of concrete slabs at Rozoni Bush Land near Mitford Hospital following a business loot. After confirming his death, the attackers danced on his body. The lynching sparked outrage across Bangladesh even as hundreds of students took to the streets in Dhaka on Saturday, accusing the interim government of failure to contain mob violence. North Korean leader Kim reaffirms support for Russia in Ukraine conflict. From Seoul, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un told Russia's top diplomat his country was ready to unconditionally support Moscow's every effort to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. State media reported on Sunday as the two countries held high-level strategic talks. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was on a 3-day visit to North Korea, which has provided troops and arms for Russia's war in Ukraine and has pledged more military support. Mr. Kim met Mr. Lavrov in the eastern coastal city of Wonshan, where the two countries' foreign ministers held their second strategic dialogue, pledging further cooperation under a partnership treaty signed last year that includes a mutual defense pact. Later on Sunday, North Korea's defense ministry said it stood ready to take military action to counter any security threat. In a warning against South Korea, Japan, and the US following a recent aerial drill by the allies. The warning followed a US B-52 strategic bomber flight near South Korea, flanked by the three countries' fighter jets in a defense exercise on Friday. Russian gains. Meanwhile, Russia said on Sunday it took another village in the west of Ukraine's Donetsk region as its troops advanced towards the city. The of Petrovsky reason Russia's defense ministry said Russia's troops had captured the village of arrested to fight Bangladesh flag dragons in case. France-Australia ties improved after a row over submarine pact. From Sydney, France's defense relations with Australia have recovered after their 2021 bust up over a major submarine contact. The country's ambassador said on Sunday Paris expressed its strong regrets when Australia tore up a multi-billion-dollar deal to buy a fleet of diesel-powered submarines from France. Ambassador Pierre-Andre Lambert said Australia later entered into an agreement with the US and Britain under the AUKUS Pact for the purchase. Since the 2022 election of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, the defense relationship had been restarted. He shared now the first pillar of our cooperation in defense and security. So have a very good level of cooperation. And the ambassador said as French forces joined major military drills around Australia. More than 30,000 military personnel from 19 nations are set to join the 3-week annual enlistment over military exercises which started on Sunday across Australia and Papua New Guinea. Israeli strikes killed at least 13 in Gaza, including 6 children at water points. Household assets liabilities. Household assets liabilities. The Reserve Bank of India publishes data on financial assets and liabilities of households across India. A disturbing trend it shows is net financial savings of households as a percentage of GDP is declining. Let us understand more about it. Q1 of 2020-21, etc. April June 2020 was peak of lockdown and economic slowdown. In these months, net financial assets, etc. incremental flows were surprisingly higher than usual. It was 15% of GDP. GDP was itself lower due to economic contraction which contributed to it. In absolute terms, people saved and invested in financial assets, so the ratio was higher. In July to September 2020, net financial assets were lower at 11.7% of GDP. In October to December, net financial asset slid closely to 8.5% GDP. This is long-term initiative. At the height of lockdown, when people were losing jobs and small businesses closing down, how can savings be higher? This is not usual behavior. In challenging times, we generate an emergency response over 2020 to 21. Net financial assets flows were 11.5% of GDP. In 21 to 22, it was 7.2% of GDP. And in 2022 to 23, it was 5.1%. In 2023 to 24, it was slightly better at 5.3%. This also is an increasing trend when economic growth has revived. Why did not financial savings slide? People are availing loans to fund assets like house or cars. The dip in savings is net of financial liabilities in 2021 to 22. Financial assets were 15.4% of GDP. Net of financial liabilities of 3.9% of GDP, it was 11.5%. Financial liabilities from 3.9% of GDP in 2022-21 and 3.8% in 2021 to 22 rose to 5.9% of GDP in 2022-23 and 6.4% in 23 to 24. When economy is growing, why do people need more loans? This concerns behavioral aspects. When one feels more secure, it's time to improve lifestyle even with debt. RBI report. As per a report released by the RBI on June 30, among broad categories of household debt, non-housing retail loans mostly used for consumption formed 54.9% of total household debt as of March 2025 and 25.7% of disposable income as of March 2024. Moreover, the share of these loans has been growing consistently over the years, outpacing housing, agriculture, and business loans. Share of mutual funds in the overall pie is increasing in 2022 to 21. MFs were only 2.1% of financial assets. Lost in 21 to 22. It surged to 6.1% and stayed at 6% in 20 to 22, 23 and 24. It moved up to 7%. Household allocation to MFZ 17.3 lakh crore rupees in March 2021 to rose to 33.9 lakh crore rupees in March 2024. Some rules to open the gates of financial freedom. Financial freedom is shaped by variables such as age, income levels, and risk tolerance. So these rules may not work for all, but are like a financial compass to guide you in the right direction. Once you get a grip on the pattern and also the formula passed on by financial experts over time, it becomes much easier to attain financial freedom in life. While the number-based thumb rules are shortcuts to crack the code of complicated personal finance decisions, one size doesn't fit all. Experience versus passion assets. Think investors. It is it is debatable if spending on experiences is better than spending. It is debatable if spending on experiences is better than spending on passion assets. You must determine which gives you more happiness than your spendings can indeed buy you happiness. Investment is what you do with your savings. Spending is what you do to maintain current lifestyle. Then there is discretionary spending, including spending on experiences and material goods. Here we see why discretionary spending on some material goods can be just as rewarding as spending on experiences. Experiences versus passion assets. You can take a trip to the Antarctica or enjoy a portside cabin on a Caribbean cruise. There are experiences you are likely to relive when you share them with friends who make similar trips. Buying materials, goods, it is argue, is different. After a while, you get used to buying the product. Political storm breaks out over self-immolation with a student in Odisha. Ames Bhubaneswar says the woman is on 98% mechanical ventilator support. Alleged systematic denial of justice, says BJD President. Congress accuses the BJP government of failing to protect women. Aims from Bhubaneswar, opposing parties attacked the ruling BJP government in Odisha on Sunday, a day after a 20-year-old student set herself on fire on a government college campus in Balasar as her complaints of sexual harassment by a faculty member had been allegedly ignored by the authorities. Former Chief Minister and Biju Janata Dal Chief Naveen Patnaik alleged systemic denial for justice, while the Congress accused the government of failing to protect women. The condition of the woman remains critical at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Bhubaneswar. The woman has been placed 98% on mechanical ventilation as kidney was damaged. Renal replacement therapy had been initiated. Dialysis had been dialysis had started. The AMC said. Chief Minister Mohan Charan Mazzi, along with Deputy Chief Minister K.V. Singh, DO and other minister colleagues visited the hospital. The condition of the woman is critical. If doctors permit, air ambulance facility would be extended for better treatment. We will take all possible steps to prevent recurrence of such kind of incidents. We will take action based on the inquiry report, Mr. Maghi said. The victim has accused an assistant professor of seeking sexual favors as per the victim's written complaint. The teacher had even threatened to sabotage her career if she did not comply with his demands. The woman took the extreme step outside the chamber of the principal, the police said. She first submitted a written complaint on June 30. An international complaints committee was reconstituted on July 1. The ICC recommended the transfer of the accused teacher, but the college failed to act. The police said authorities also delayed forwarding the ICC's findings to the Higher Education Department. The woman had reached out to multiple authorities on social media platforms but received no concrete assurance. She had been met Balasore MP Pratap Sarangi to inform him about the complaint. The police said the accused teacher has been arrested while the principal of the college has been suspended. The National Commission for Women said it had taken suo motu cognizance of the incident. Chairperson Vijay Rahatkar Diamond condemned the incident and directed the Director General of Police, Odisha, to ensure a fair and time-bound probe. An action taken report must be submitted to the panel within 3 days. If shared in a statement, those in distress may contact Sanjeevani Society for Mental Health Suicide Prevention Helpline. Gujarat's tragedy. CM case 212 crore rupees for new base from Ahmedabad 5 days after the Vadodara bridge collapse, which claimed the lives of 20 people. Gujarat CM Bhupender Patel on Sunday approved 212 crore rupees for the construction of a new two-lane high-level bridge over the Mahisagar River near Muzpur in Agra Taluka. We are reviewing draft regulations for all teacher training program NCTE chairperson. From New Delhi, after calls for broader consultation and deeper reflection on the National Council for Teacher Education proposed overhaul of teacher training regulations, the Council is reviewing the draft regulations that were earlier passed by its Council in March this year. We have gone into a large consultation with the Ministry of Education, stakeholders and experts before finalizing the draft NCD recognition norms and procedure regulations 2025. NCT chairperson Pankaj Arora told the Hindu. Aligned with NEP, the council has come up with new regulations for teacher training institute after a gap of 10 years. The last revision was done in 2014. The latest draft regulations have been proposed to align with the National Education Policy 2020. The earlier approved draft, which is now under review, outlines the process for recognizing institutions for teacher education program and also addresses the transition of existing teacher education program into new ones aligned with the NEP. The NCT had received up to 6,774 responses between February 20 and March 8 last year when the draft was made public for comments before being approved by the council in the minutes of the 63rd general body meeting of the NCT held on March 19 and released on March 24, accessed by the Hindu. The NCT had accepted the recommendations of the expert committee and approved the NCT recognition norms and procedure regulations 2025. It had also decided that after approval from the MOE and legal vetting from the Ministry of Law, the approved and vetted regulation will be notified in Gazette. It is an evolving process and will not get done in one shot. We have not yet issued the Gazette notification, so it is not finalized. The Ministry of Law will notify it after the MOE's approval, Mr. Arora said. No flexibility. Padma Sarangpani, former NCTE member and professor at the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai, said that in the current form, the draft regulations seem to offer no flexibility in deployment of teachers within broadly primary stage and middle or secondary stage as is the current practice. This is because the new regulations propose five segmentations in teacher education specializations. It will also be difficult to fulfill all the deployment requirements in rural and remote areas. Generally, the proposal is not aligned with the trends in the teacher labor market. Mr. Sarangpani said private school will not find it practical to employ teachers for such specific stages. Teachers will also not find it satisfying from a career point of view to be boxed into narrow specializations and at different salaries, she added. Expert panel from Mr. Arora said that the NCT had constituted an expert committee to look into the demand supply gap of school teachers in the country. Telangana MLC's office attacked over remarks against BRS leader. Gunmen fired shots in the air. Protesters tried to enter the office of the YouTube channel run by the MLC and a scuffle broke out. From Hyderabad, taking objection to the insulting and outrageous comments against Bharat Rashtra Samiti. MLC K. Kavitha, her supporters and members of the Telangana Jagriti Alliance stormed at the office of MLC and YouTuber Chinta Bandhu Naveen, known as Tinmar Malana, on the Sunday morning. The protesters tried to enter the office of the YouTube channel and Mr. Malana, and a scuffle broke out, leading to damage to furniture. The situation spiraled into chaos, and Mr. Malana's gunmen tried to push the protesters out, during which several rounds were fired into the air inside the office. Rakonda police officials clarified that no one was shot. The injuries seen in the videos were not caused by bullets. His gunmen opened fire in the air in self-defense. The the blood visible was due to cuts from broken glass structures. During the commotion, a senior officer said, "Videos from the scene show blood on the floor and shattered furniture strewn across the office, capturing the intensity of the confrontation." Suspended from party, Mr. Milana, who was elected to the Legislative Council from the Warangal Nalgonda Khammam graduates constituency 2024 with the Congress party support, was suspended from the party in March 2025 for anti-party activities. He burned the caste survey reports, claiming that the population of these cities was suppressed. DU dreams hit digital barriers in Haryana villages. From Rohtak in Marodhi Jatan village of Rohtak district in Haryana, 17-year-old Rinki was set on pursuing a BA program at Delhi University until her hopes were abruptly dashed when I went to apply for the CUET Common University Entrance Test at the government run Common Services Center CSC. I was told I was not eligible because the minimum age is 18, she says. In reality, there is no such age limit. She still breaks down, recalling how she was misinformed. Her mother says, "We want our daughter to have a bright future, but we don't know how or where to apply." The CUET became mandatory for undergraduate admissions to Central universities in 2022, replacing board-based admissions. Institutions like Jawaharlal Nehru University have shifted to fully digital, centralized systems such as the reused common seat allocation system, even as the undergraduate admissions process for the DU is underway. Many students remain undecided about their future. Teachers and activists, the Hindu spoke to said that while some of the students prefer colleges in their area, those who wanted to study in the RU are seeing their lives fade due to misinformation, complex digital processes, and cost. Lengthy process in a government school in Marodhi Jatan village, very few students have their career paths figured out. Teachers surrender Singh explains earlier, many students aspired to go outside Haryana for studies. Now the admission process involves multi steps including registration, obtaining a rank, creating a preference list and accepting or rejecting colleges. All done online, only children from well-informed or elite families manage to complete the process. His daughter, Shubhana Singh, recently enrolled in the BU's Hindu College for a postgraduate degree in mathematics. She says she had to travel to Rohtak at least 4 times during the process, paying 100 rupees per visit to a cyber cafe. She tracked application updates via email on her smartphone. Her father adds most parents here cannot afford this kind of time or financial comment for admissions. Though the DU conducts webinars and releases detailed guidelines, critical information rarely reaches students, says social activist Sunil Jaglan. In most villages, only one or two students apply to central universities. Information is passed down from one batch to another. If no one goes this year, there will be an information vacuum next year, said Mr. Jaglan. Lack of counseling in schools adds to the problem. There is no guidance on the process, and parents are also worried about expenses and the safety of their daughter, he adds. In Bahadurgarh, closer to Delhi class 11 student, Meenu says she wants to pursue BCom honors from the DU, but asked her about the CUET, and she says, I don't know about any such test. Kerala government supper over food worship at schools. We are reviewing draft regulations to overhaul teacher training programs. NCT chairperson after calls for broader consultation and deeper reflection on the National Council for Teacher Education's proposed overhaul of teacher training regulations. The Council is reviewing the draft regulations that were earlier passed by its Council in March. This year we have gone into a large consultation with Ministry of Education and stakeholders and experts before finalizing the draft NCTE Recognition Norms and Procedure Regulations 2025. NCT Chairperson Pankaj Arora told the Hindu, aligned with NEP, the Council has come up with new regulations for teacher training institutes after a gap of 10 years. The last revision was done in 2014. The latest draft regulations have been proposed to align with the National Education Policy 2020. The earlier approved draft, which is now under review, outlines the process for recognizing institutions for teacher education programs and also addresses the transition of existing teacher education programs into new ones. Aligned with the NEP, the NCT had received up to 6,774 responses between February 20 and March 8 last year. When the draft was made public for comments before being approved by the Council in the minutes of 63rd General Body meeting of the NCT held on March 19 and released on March 24, accessed by the Hindu. NCT had accepted the recommendations of the expert committee and approved by NCT recognition norms and procedure regulations 2025. It has also decided that after approval from the MOE and legal vetting from the Ministry of Law, the approved and vetted regulations will be notified in our gazette. It is an evolving process and will not get done in one shot. We have not yet issued the gazette notification, so it is not finalized. The Ministry of Law will notify it after the MOE's approval, Mr. Arora shared. No flexibility. Padma Saragapani, former NCT member and professor at the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, said that in the current reform, the draft regulations seem to offer no flexibility in deployment of teachers within both the primary stage and middle or secondary stage as is the current practice. This is because the new regulations propose by segmentation in teacher education specializations. It will also be difficult to fulfill all the deployment requirements in rural and remote areas. Generally, the proposal is not aligned with the trends in the teacher labor market. Mr. Sara Ganapati said private schools will not find it practical to employ teachers for such special stages. Teachers will also not find it satisfying from a career point of view to be boxed into narrow specializations and at differential salaries. She added expert panel from Mr. Arora said that the NCT has constituted an expert committee to look into the demand-supply gap of school teachers in the country. The committee comprises members from the MOE and ITIO, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, Delhi University, as well as the State Councils of Educational Research and Training. Auto drivers rest over anti-Marathi, not vulgar Maharashtra. Telangana MLC's office attacked over remarks against BRS leader when minute fire shot in the air. Do you dreams hit digital barriers in Haryana village? Who are qualified as ordinarily resident? What does Section 20 of the Representation of the People Act 1950 state? Why are migrant workers vulnerable when it comes to classifying themselves as ordinarily resident in particular constituency? Are NRIs allowed to vote? What does the registration of electors rules 1960 govern? What does Section 20 of the Representation of the People Act 1950 state? Why are migrant workers vulnerable when it comes to classifying themselves as ordinarily resident in particular constituency are NRIs allowed to work, but thus the registration of electors rules 1961. The story so far, the Election Commission of India has initiated a special intensive revision of the electoral laws in Bihar. This has kindled the debate around the term ordinarily residents for the purpose of being included in the electoral rolls of a constituency. Who is ordinarily resident? The electoral rolls are prepared by the EC as per the provisions of the Representation of the People Act 1950, Section 19 of the RP Act requires that a person is ordinarily resident in a constituency for inclusion in its electoral roll. Section 20 provides the meaning of the term ordinary resident. It specifies that a person shall not be deemed to be ordinarily resident in a constituency only because he or she owns or possesses a dwelling house therein. However, a person temporarily absent from his or her place of residence shall continue to be ordinarily resident therein. Persons who are members of armed forces of the Union, armed police force of a state serving outside that state, employed by the Government of India in a post outside India or holding a constitutional office declared by the President in consultation with the EC are considered along with their spouse to be ordinarily resident in the constituency where they would have been ordinarily resident but for such posting. Section 20A was added in 2010 to enable non-resident Indians who have shifted out of India even for long term to register and vote in the constituency in which their address as well passport is located. The registration of electors rules 1960 RER notified by the central government in consultation with the EC governs the preparation of and inclusion or exclusion of names in the electoral rolls as per the provisions of the RPA. What are potential issues? The requirement of being ordinarily resident for inclusion in the electoral role of a constituency is to ensure that the voter maintains real ties with the constituency that preserves representative accountability. It is also aimed at preventing fraudulent registrations. The Guwahati High Court in the Manmohan Singh case 1999 indicated that the term ordinarily resident shall be a habitual resident of that place. It must be permanent in character and not temporary or casual. It must be a place whether the person has the intention to dwell permanently. A reasonable man must accept him or her as a resident of that place. The issue arises when it comes to migrant laborers. The periodic labor force survey of 2022 to 21 estimated that around 11% of our population migrated due to employment related reasons. This translates to close to 15 crore voters being migrant laborers within or outside their states. Some of these migrations are seasonal in nature, where the laborers return to their ordinary residence for some months of a year. Many migrant construction and security workers live in temporary shocks and temporary shocks or residences of their place of work. They move from one location to another within a state or even in different states as part of their work. They return to the ordinary residence in their home state at regular intervals. They exercise their right to vote in that place where their families and children live and where their properties exist. While they may not be residing permanently in such residence, the philosophy behind being ordinarily resident as opined by the court is broadly fulfilled with respect to that residence for such migrant workers. Any migrant has the right to shift his or her work to their new place of residence anywhere in India if they so desire. However, removal of migrant voters from the electoral roll of their original residence by following a strict interpretation of the term ordinarily resident can vitiate the democratic process. It may result in their disenfranchisement, as most of them would not be keen and neither welcome to register as voters in their temporary place of work. What can be the way forward? The RP Act provides the option to service voters, persons holding a declared office and NRIs to retain the vote in their constituency even though they may not be permanently residing in such place. While it may not be an apple to apple comparison, it must be noted that most liberals, short term and long term, migrate on account of lack of opportunities in their region. They continue to have close connections with their original residents and choose to retain their right to vote in such constituency. The RP Act or the RER may be suitably amended to preserve the choice of migrant laborers. Suitable mechanisms acceptable to all stakeholders to enable participation of migrant laborers in the elections should be explored. The issue of migrants enrolling more than once in different constituencies should be addressed separately through Aadhaar seeding. Rangarajan R is a former IAS officer and author of Counsellor on Quality Simplified. He currently trains an officer IAS Academy. Views expressed are personal. Why must India recognize its open ecosystems? Why are lands classified as wastelands important? Are pastoral communities dependent on them? The story so far. Deserts are often imagined as corners of nature and barren wastelands in need of redemption. This worldview fuels grand ambitions to green the desert. Through afforestation, irrigation schemes, or even climate engineering, this gives way to the idea that deserts are broken ecosystems. So pervasive is this vilification that land degradation is also known as desertification. And June 17 every year is celebrated as World Day to combat desertification and drought. Are deserts important? In truth, deserts are ancient, diverse, and resilient biomes. Finally, turned to extremes, they occupy nearly one third of the Earth's terrestrial surface and are home to uniquely adapted plants, animals, and human cultures. It is ironic that humans disregard deserts when several early civilizations were set in desert climates, whether in early Mesopotamia or the Indus Valley. Indeed, some historians argue that it is these very harsh desert conditions that prompted humans to develop complex societies and technologies that could invent ingenious ways of irrigation to survive in otherwise inhospitable conditions. Why about other open spaces? What about other open spaces? India's relationship with open spaces is full of contradictions. On the one hand, we fetishize them. Real estate ads routinely promise sweeping lawns with names like Swana or Utopia. But when it comes to the country's own vast open natural ecosystem, such as grasslands, savanna, scrublands, and open woodlands, we have done the opposite. These landscapes have been systematically ignored in policy or worse, actively erased on official maps. Millions of hectares of these ecosystems are classified as wasteland, a term inherited from colonial land use categories. In policy terms, a wasteland is land waiting to be fixed, often by planting trees, converting it for agriculture, or paving it over for industry. What should be protected and stewarded has instead become a target for transformation. India's deserts, grasslands, and savannas are home to species found nowhere else. The Great Indian Bustard, the caracal, the Indian wall fishes are these ecosystems also store carbon not in big trees above ground but rather deep in the soil. Equally important are the communities dependent on them. Millions of pastoral groups such as the Dhangar, Rabri, Kurba, etc. depend on these ecosystems for grazing. When we fence off grasslands or plant forest on them, it's not just ecology we damage, but also livelihoods, mobility, and local knowledge systems. In many cases, in many cases, pastoralist groups are also stewards of biodiversity and ecosystem health. However, Indian grasslands and pastoralist systems have not received the desired protection and management. What should be the road ahead? What should be the road ahead rather than trying to turn deserts into forests? We should study how life thrives without abundance. This is not to say that land degradation should not be addressed. Reversing degradation in drylands requires careful restoration that respects native vegetation, focuses on soil and moisture conservation, and draws from indigenous knowledge of land management. Low-tech solutions like water harvesting, rotational grazing, and protecting natural regrowth often outperform greenwashing projects that aim to plant millions of trees to green the desert. We need policies that recognize ecosystems diversity, reward soil carbon storage, and support pastoralist land use. A functioning desert or savanna with its intricate food webs, seasonal rhythms, and cultural communities is far more alive than a failed monoculture plantation. Perhaps it is time to rename World Day to combat desertification and drought to World Day to combat land degradation and give deserts their respectable name back. So I like the hustle and bustle of big cities. I like the hustle and bustle of big cities. Don't rely on him for campaigning. He gets on the bandwagon only at the last possible minute. What is the meaning and reason of get on bandwagon? How will YouTube's new monetization policy impact creators? YouTube said that on July 15, It would be updating its guidelines to better identify mass produced and repetitious content, leading creators to believe that low effort generative AI content may become harder to monetize. The story so far in an update to the YouTube Partner Program YPP that allows creators to make money from their videos. YouTube said that on July 15 it would change its guidelines in order to better identify mass produced and repetitious content. The Google the Google on video platform added that the change would better reflect what inauthentic content looks like. While YouTube did not directly mention generative AI, many creators and content makers believe that the update will affect those who rely heavily on machine generated media to make their videos. What is the new YPP policy? YouTubers need 500 subscribers in order for their channels to be eligible to apply for the partner program. After securing 1,000 subscribers, partners can unlock and revenue and start entering from the ads shown in their videos. This is one way the company ensures that trusted, high quality content makers are rewarded for their efforts rather than throwaway accounts trying to make a quick back. There are multiple ways to monetize content as a YouTube partner with varying eligibility requirements and regional restrictions. Some of these strategies include advertising revenue, shopping, YouTube premium revenue, channel memberships, and super chat or stickers. Thanks. Perks that fans can pay for. Monetization is a serious matter for creators, especially for those aiming to grow a large audience and make high quality YouTube videos a major source of their income. YouTube shared that it paid more than $70 billion to creators, artists, and media companies from 21 to 2023. Naturally, many creators also get frustrated when their videos are demonetized for regulatory reasons they do not understand or agree with. What is YouTube's monetization history? From its early days, YouTube's approach to monetization has steadily evolved, moving from a largely open system to a more curated environmental that prioritizes original, authentic content. This progression reflects the platform's efforts to make the content stick for viewers so that more valuable space can be created for advertisers. In the initial stages of creator monetization, around 2016, the rules were minimal. Channels could be monetized almost instantly upon creation without needing to meet specific subscriber or watch hour goals. This allowed for the proliferation of faceless channels that primarily relied on low effort content, such as compiling viral video clips without original commentary. These simple compilation videos could generate significant revenue with relative case. A significant shift occurred around 2018 when YouTube introduced its now standard monetization requirements: 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. A significant shift occurred around 2018 when YouTube introduced its now standard monetization requirements. As the first time, this policy was a clear signal that the platform was beginning to favor channels that could build and sustain a genuine audience. This update effectively demonetized many of the simple compilation channels that lacked original input. Following this, YouTube continued to refine its guidelines, targeting specific niches that were considered low effort and repetitive. In 2019, channels featuring rain sounds or ambient noise faced demonetization as they were often seen as non-transformative. According to the US copyright law, a transformative use is a kind of a fair use that builds on original content and creates something new. By 2020, YouTube had also cracked down on the wave of channels that used robotic text to speech voices to read Reddit stories, flagging them as mass produced and unoriginal. This historical trend will culminate in the upcoming July 2025 policy change. The latest update aims to better identify content that is mass produced, repetitive, and fails to meaningfully transform source material. YouTube has clarified this is an enhancement of long-standing policies intended to remove content that viewers often consider spam. This move targets channels that upload high volumes of templated or AI-generated videos. Is YouTube banning generative AI content? While YouTube did not explicitly mention that it was taking action against generative AI content, this is what many content creators took the policy update to mean. The use of synthetic content such as visuals, voiceovers, and art now raises complex legal questions about whether YouTube is giving users the ability to monetize content that could one day be hit with copyright strikes or lawsuits. YouTube noted that it always required creators to upload original and authentic content to monetize as part of its partner program. Its new policy says it will identify mass produced and repetitive, repetitive content but does not currently mention penalizing such videos or banning them. Users will have to simply wait and see. In essence, while genuine content creators who deliver well produced original videos should not be impacted by the update, those who are simply pushing the same low quality videos made with AI tools to track made with AI tools to rack up subscribers and views will face increased scrutiny in the future. How does YouTube's new policy affect content creators? For content creators, this policy shift underscores the increasing importance of originality and transformative work. Channels that simply aggregate content without adding a unique perspective or commentary are at high risk of demonetization. Readers will now have to adapt by focusing on original and authentic videos, where a unique voice and personality can be established. The key takeaway for creators is to move beyond mere aggregation and to use their content to tell a story, offer analysis, or provide a unique and engaging perspective. From YouTube's perspective, this new monetization policy is a strategic move designed to improve the overall quality and integrity of the platform by filtering out low effort, repetitive, and spammy content. YouTube aims to give users coming back to its platform regularly, which in turn encourages them to spend more time on the site. This is also good for its adds business. A higher quality content library not only makes the platform attractive to advertisers, it can also be used by its parent Alphabet as fodder to train its Gemini AI models. No urgent safety concern AI crash report FAA. US regulator makes no new recommendations for Boeing 787 to 8 in letter to counterparts around the world. It reminds them of 2018 advisory on potential disengagement of low-con fuel switches. Alpha says missile strike killed two top leaders in Myanmar. Foreigners found in Bihar road says EC. Kolkata police constitutes society to investigate a rape of women by student on IMC campus. JNK government leader of party stopped from paying homage to martyrs. Srinagar Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, who is in charge of law and order on Sunday, barred the elected government and the regional parties from paying homage to the 22 civilians shot dead during an uprising against the Dogra ruler in 1931. Mr. Sinha chose the occasion to distribute jobs among the militancy affected families in North Kashmir's Baramulla. ED probe reveals human traffickers used fake visas to send Indians abroad. Fake visas were also being used by human traffickers to send Indians abroad. The Enforcement Directorate has found during its probe into the US donkey route case linked to the deportation of illegal immigrants from the United States in February. Ex-BJP functionary among three shot dead in Bihar in 2 days. PS Surya Narayana, former correspondent of the Hindu, no more. The changing landscape of employment. Time is up to restore J&K statehood. Of half a billion mobile money accounts globally, most are in Africa. Ahead of monsoon session, Congress to hold strategy meet to discuss key issues. Shringla Nikam, two other nominated to the Rajya Sabha. Nitish Kumar promises jobs, employment opportunities to 1 crore youth by 2030. Three Trinamool leaders killed in 4 days, family jealous factionalism. Bong MP flags Barack Valley's landlocked status to PM. Mamata Banerjee to lead protest in Kolkata on July 16 against targeting of migrants. Assam CM says conspiracy behind migration to Hindu Assamese Muslim areas. Secularism implicit from day one, explicit in 1976. God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. Yet his shadow will loom, said Friedrich Nietzsche. As 66 Constitution make some reference to God in their preamble. True, Nehru led from the front in India's adoption of secularism. He explicitly said in his autobiography of how what he called organized religion filled him with horror. Almost always it seemed to stand for a blind belief and reaction, dogma and bigotry, superstition and exploitation. Nehru's strong views on religion did play a significant role in India's choice of secular polity. Unlike today's politicians, need he did not need religion to succeed in policies. He did not need religion to succeed in politics. Through the, though the Supreme Court had said more than once that the term secular in India does not connote either strict separation between religion and state, link in France or the non-establishment of religion like in the United States. The debate on the artificial imposition of secularism during the emergency and the urgent need for its deletion continues through Indian secularism is rooted in Emperor Ashoka's Dhamma and is consistent with noble ideals of India's freedom struggle. Article 51AB makes it a fundamental duty of every citizen to cherish and uphold noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Secularism was no one such ideal. Secularism spells autonomy. The importance of Ashoka edicts on the jurisdiction model. Assessing India's carbon credit trading scheme targets. CCTV cameras to be fixed on 15,000 15,000 trains, says Railways. The will This will significantly improve safety of passengers, say officials. Each coach will be equipped with 4 dome type CCTV cameras placed at the entrance and each locomotive will have 6 of them. Reaching Java tribe of Andaman Island for census will not be tough. Vijay leads protest against custodial deaths in TN. Calm sale of fixed fertilizers, Chauhan urges chief ministers. Sri Lanka Navy arrests 7 fishers from Ramaswamy. Cabinet appoints Abhijit Sheth an MC chairperson. India joins military exercise Talisman Submarine Australia. Kota Srinivasa Rao, veteran Telugu actor, passes away. Godavari floods affect thousands in Eluru. Andhra tribal woman gives birth in Dolly. Now Education Plus for an equitable future. Higher education isn't just about academics. It's about making sure every student feels welcome, supported, and valued. When campuses embrace inclusivity, they don't just check a box, they create an environment where students from all backgrounds, especially those from underrepresented communities, can truly thrive. Why it matters for many students from marginalized backgrounds, college is both a dream and a challenge. The weight of history can make academic spaces feel unwelcoming, and without the right support, talented students may struggle to find their footing. But when universities actively cultivate Inclusive practices such as ensuring diverse voices in the curriculum, creating safe spaces for dialogue, and celebrating different culture. Students feel seen and heard. That sense of belonging isn't just nice to have, it's a game changer for academic success. When students are when students see themselves represented in what they are learning, they gain confidence, they participate more in discussions, connect deeply with their studies, and develop a genuine passion for learning. Inclusivity transforms classrooms into vibrant spaces where multiple perspectives enrich conversation and push everyone toward deeper understanding. The impact of inclusivity isn't just emotional, it directly affects performance in classrooms where students engage with diverse narratives and viewpoints. Learning becomes dynamic and relevant. Imagine a history class that highlights global perspective rather than just a Western lens, or a science courage that acknowledges contributions from researchers of all backgrounds. Suddenly, students don't just feel like passive learners, they see themselves as part of the academic conversation beyond content, including teaching methods like adaptive learning strategies and culturally aware monitoring help reduce anxiety and increase intellectual risk taking. When students feel safe, they are more likely to challenge themselves, ask questions, and push beyond their limits, leading to stronger academic outcomes. Build support system. College isn't just about getting in, it's about staying in and finishing strong. But for students facing financial hardships, social barriers, social barriers, or the pressure of stereotypes, it's nice to feel overwhelmed. That's why institutions must go beyond academics and build real support systems, mentorship program, culturally competent counseling, and personalized academic visiting advising can make all the differences. Knowing their help is just a conversation away, empowers students to push through challenges rather than walk away from their education. When universities show that they care about students as individuals, not just as numbers on a roster, retention rates improve and students are more likely to achieve their goals. Representation isn't just symbolic, it shapes reality. When students see faculty and leaders who share their backgrounds, they gain more than teachers, they gain role models. Diversity in leadership reassure the students that success isn't limited by where they come from. It also creates an environment of trust where students feel encouraged to dream big and work toward ambitious goals. The influence of inclusivity doesn't stop at the classroom door. Today, learning happens everywhere on digital platforms, social media, and virtual classrooms. Universities that prioritize accessibility and diversity in their digital resources ensure that inclusivity extends into every part of the student's experience, from culturally diverse online content to accessible learning platforms. Creating a truly inclusive academic environment means embracing technology as a tool for connection and improvement. An inclusive campus isn't just an ideal, it's a necessity for academic success. By diversifying curricula, fostering supportive networks, and ensuring representation at all levels. Universities empower students to overcome obstacles and achieve their full potential. In doing so, they are not just changing individual lives, they are shaping a more equitable and innovative future of higher education. Thank you, all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholar, teachers, trainers. I thank all ministers and managers. I thank all adorable doctors and directors. I thank all honorable administrative advisors. And I thank all the most honorable President Modi. Thank, nice to see, nice to talk to you. Nice. Thank you.